Now we move on to the Women's Day celebration part of it. Remember, we have got 3 events happening together. One is, of course, the Distributors Association and their networking and the stalls and their presentation. That's one part to it. The second part, I'm sorry, the the Women's Day celebration, and we have got 3 achievers here from the community who have, thank you very much, who have influenced the Muslim women in particular with their achievements. And today I think it is an honor for IICCB to introduce these achievers to you all, starting with the first achiever who has come here to present her success story and inspire all of us and the Muslim women in particular, all the way coming from UK. She did her studies in UK. Currently, she is in Bangalore running her business, and she comes from Francom Company, principal chief director of the company, and now she has been particularly interested to speak on a topic, how to grow your enterprise from a small enterprise, from being an SME to a large enterprise. And this is what the presentation is going to be all about, and it is my honor and privilege to introduce to you all Ms. Husna Rahman, who is going to be presenting the topic, how to grow into a large enterprise. With a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. May I request all of you to stand up. This is Women's, no ma'am, it is on duty on my part. It's Women's Day celebration.
Yeah, this morning. And growth and success is a very relative term. It can mean different things to different people. For me, success is not numerical. It's about creating a mark that is qualitative and experiential. So would I feel successful if I had 500 employees and created generic designs and I was anonymous because I did what everybody did and I didn't have a unique story? No, to me that would not mean success. To me, chartering my own path and creating an identity that I truly believe in, that's part of my being, and to celebrate a uniqueness within that, that to me is success. And I think you can create that with a team that's formidable, that doesn't have to, be enormous, but have an enormous intent and an energy that captivates a very large audience because of that very precise and particular way of functioning, thinking, and being. When I studied in London and New York and I returned to Bangalore, I was a full-fledged architect, but I did not have a family or friends, for that matter, that were in the business. So I knew pretty early on, and this is where you call alignment in your inner being, that I wanted to start my own studio. I did have working experience, and I believed that I would learn along the way, because in my business, in my craft, which is more a craft than a business, you start slow. It takes a couple of decades to build momentum, and you lay brick on brick in the pursuit of excellence every single day. And one fine day, you turn around and you realize there's a whole group of people that actually know who you are, because they've been watching that progress while you've been inwardly creating those moments of magic for yourself. So I thought it was a good idea to meet with people from the industry, people I didn't know, people who had made their mark, builders, developers. So I made a list of people that I should meet, and I walked into their offices. And I said, this is who I am, this is my qualification. I've studied at one of the finest schools in the world, but I have a portfolio right now, no body of work, but incredible vision to make something special for you. And as a builder, working with me will enhance your ability to reach a wide audience. Ravi Purvankara was one such person. In fact, when we meet, he's very happy to tell that story to many people, because I don't think many people have knocked on his door and walked in and said, working with me will enhance your business. And I think he saw a spark, perhaps, because the next week he called me and he said, okay, we have this model home coming up and we'd like to collaborate with you. We did that model home, and it was what he called disruption, because we changed the way a model home should be perceived. It was very avant-garde. Typically, architecture is all about creating boxes. In the conventional sense, you move from one box to the other. It's a living, it's a dining, it's a bedroom, it's a bathroom, and all of them have walls, and all of them contain you, confine you, define you. Our language was about freedom, expansion, exploration. We started removing walls between spaces. Privacy existed, but in a very subtle way. Doors disappeared behind windows. Glass created an expansion. There was privacy between rooms, but only if you looked. You could see the bath space from the bedroom. The dinings and the kitchens were integrated. There was seamless fluidity between the living and the landscape. There were no boundary lines. Everything was beautifully blurred. When people walked in, and this was 18 years ago, it was a very unusual way of being, and it captivated an audience. I started getting calls from people right then on saying, hey, this is not just a design, it's a lifestyle. It's a behavioral shift. We feel different here. We want to feel like our homes are sanctuaries. They're meditative spaces for us, which elicit response, which is way beyond what we predict. We shape spaces, but they shape us back more profoundly. So that began my journey. And it continued in a way that most journeys do. There will be times that you just have to be adversity resistant, and you're not at that time because you're younger and more vulnerable. But you realize there will be more setbacks than there will be successes. That's just the law of nature. But you just walk through them. You can tear, you can be disappointed, you can be shaken, you can be prodded and poked, but you move on. And my recipe for my daughter, I tell her very often, is, it's not always the most talented people who succeed. It's the people who, after being prodded and poked, still have the stamina to stand tall, because they won't be put down. They cannot be broken. Yeah. So after the others fall by the wayside, because it can be very defeating, it can be very disappointing and disillusioning, and the human spirit can, sometimes just take that beating. It's the ones who permeate that, who get up, dust themselves off, and say, let's try again, and then let's try one more time, and let's keep trying. Let's just keep moving forward. And those are the people who eventually are the ones left standing. And that practice is called many things. It's called being consistent, it's called being steadfast, but it's also called having a passion for it, because you can't walk through all those channels of fire if you don't really love what you do. That's called identifying what inside of you keeps you most alive, really early on. And then you don't even need the courage, because it is a fire that will lead you. It's a force, it's a creative energy. When I wake up every day, I don't have to say, oh, it's yet another day and yet another week. I've been doing this for over 20 years. And I learned a little line from my 11-year-old son, who said, when you think you're done, you're only just begun. And for me, I feel like I just started every day. I wake up and I have a new client and a new project and a new ambition and a new dream. When the gentleman before was talking about sustainable community development, I think, maybe it's that time in my life now. I've worked with a lot of people with immense means and created dream homes and immensity of grandeur and style. Why not now work with people and create reverberates and memorable and important experiences with a tight budget? have my hands tied for a change, and then find the creativity within that spectrum. So that kinetic energy from within to constantly move and shift and learn and grow is something that is a life force. And it keeps you constantly growing. You know, there's this one iconic expression in life. It's called 3 feet to gold. And there was this young man and his father who set out to be gold prospectors in Colorado. At the time, everyone was looking for gold, and it was the gold rush in the early 1800s. And they dug and dug and dug to find that vein of gold. And they kept going for years. And then they looked at each other and said, I think we're at the wrong spot. We need to move away from here, start elsewhere. They sold their equipment to a garbage clearer who bought it for virtually nothing. And he said, well, if they've been digging for so long, they can't be far from gold. And he started. He was 3 feet from gold. 3 feet from gold is an expression I use when things get tough and you're weary and you think, maybe, just maybe, this is, all you can do. You're always just 3 feet from gold. Because when you're ready to give up, it is ready to give up. It just depends who does it first. So growth for me is growth personally, because that's when your enterprise will grow too. You cannot be static and expect the people around you to be motivated. You cannot be static and expect that you're going to think new thoughts. I had an inquiry the other day from a person who's building an enormous campus in Tamil Nadu. I sent emails to the top 50 architectural companies in the world. Arrows in the dark, sometimes they hit. 4 companies emailed me back, and we are in talks right now to collaborate with the top 4 companies in the world for large campuses in India. That is exciting to me, that you never know what will happen, but you never will have it happen if you don't take those chances. If you don't think not just creatively about your art and your craft, but also about new ways to bring people together through collaborations. It could be working with artists in India, which we do a lot, dying breeds of artisans, who from 100 become 60 and then 50 because nobody is looking at Indian art and craft with the respect that they should. So as designers, we modernize their craft. We win international awards. We put them on the map. We create an audience for something that we believe that India handmade should be more important than Italy handmade. And that we can only do when we truly believe that the artists should be resurrected. So right from that, all the way to collaborating with international companies who have the know-how and expertise to join forces with us to then create something in India and across the world. So it's always the people. It's the way that you create creative associations with them. It's the way that you meaningfully, maybe even just hold your gaze with them. People understand people on a very fundamental level. There is trust, there is passion, there is goodness. When you sit across a table with someone, you immediately know whether that's somebody you want to work with. Likability is a very important thing. They can be the most talented, they can be the most celebrated, but if you don't get that feeling on a human scale that this is somebody worthy of my time, so just making us all feel human on the most fundamental level. And then, of course, being a dream holder, having those dreams and nurturing them, celebrating them. And as an architect, when I have a client, they are entrusting me with a hope that their requirement, their lifestyle will be translated in a way that I can visualize. So I have already built their dream in my head, and that clarity And that purpose they can identify in the first meeting. So I very seldom have people who are shaky or unsure because they see the conviction. The conviction of having the knowledge and also the faith that I can translate. So growth of a business, growth of a person, I think all of it is about not following the mainstream, listening to that voice inside of you carefully, which we sometimes forget in a world that is so chaotic and noisy, whether it's with Instagram or with just so many different options, attention spans get short. So sometimes to sit in solitude and just hear yourself and say, well, there's more to me and this is the direction I want to pursue. And then moving in that vein, that ocean. I think that is what the human spirit is all about, the constant movement. And success, financial and every other way, comes when you're not really chasing it, but you're chasing your dream from your innermost core. That is just, a side effect of all of it. But the truth is the honesty to your craft. The honesty to what you do, and do it with this single-minded dedication. And all the material and human aspects that people chase so hard will follow you rather than you chase it. So, thank you for being here today. Thank you for being part of my conversation. And I hope that in the future, collaborations from within this group will be taken forward. I think every one of us has the ability to contribute to the other. Every one of us in different ways. We just keep ourselves open and porous to newness and change. And inshallah, there's a lot more to come.
2-3 points which I would like to highlight is about the consistency, I think. The perseverance of a person to excel in business, and also the building relationships. That is the core of business. So that is what I think it's a wonderful thought which you have shared with us. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I would now request
Azim Khan Sahab.
Azim Khan Sahab, okay. Our IICCB treasurer, Mr. Azim Khan Sahab, to...
May I request the president, the founder trustee, would you please join us for the photograph, and all the MC members to join the photograph, as this momentum is, the memento is presented to our distinguished speakers, the women achievers from the community. And then it's an honor and privilege.
How many of you know him? Okay. I was thinking he is the man behind who can create dream homes. Today, ma'am, you have changed. The way you were talking, it was like your heart was connected to our hearts directly. So clear it was. Inspirational. Thank you. One thing is for sure, nobody can build your dream homes better than man. Please contact me. Have you shared your card and contact details?
I have two Tabassum speakers today, and Husna Tabassum and Husna Rahman. So the Husna name was common, and then the memento went from one to another. Apologies. But I would like to repeat here, Ms. Husna Rahman gets the memento, the award for being the best businesswoman of the year, 2024. Ma'am, would you please accept our apologies? The award that has been conferred to you today says that you are the best woman, businesswoman of the year, 2024. It's mentioned in your award. Let's proceed further, and this time I would like to do a simple exercise with you all. Would you please extend your hands in front, everyone? Keep your hands in this position, please. And we clap together. No, it's not happening. I'll say 1, 2, 3, then we will clap. Okay. I basically repeat this in 2 other languages, which is very important for you to get. I say 1, 2, 3, then you clap. I say this in Urdu. 1, 2, 3 बोलता हूँ, तब थाली मारना. I say it in Kannada, the state language. ನಾನು 1, 2, 3 ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. 3 ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಚಪ್ಪಾಳೆ ತಟ್ಟಬೇಕು. 1, 2, 3. 3 ಭಾಷೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಿದೆ 1, 2, 3 ಅಂದರೆ ಚಪ್ಪಾಳೆ ತಟ್ಟಿ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು. उर्दू में भी बोलिया 1, 2, 3 बोले अब थाली मारो. मैं 3 बोलने से पहले कहीं को थाली मारे तुम्हें कहीं को मारे पहले, तुम्हें मारने में हमें भी मारे. The power of your communication. Absolutely. Mr. Nizam wants to, I repeat it in front of you, 3 languages, few seconds. You took few seconds to change your mind. You said, you can say in any language, but we will only follow what you do. I repeat it in Urdu, I repeat it in Kannada, I repeat it in English, and I asked you to follow my words. My words. 3 bolya to thali maro. 3 hele chapale tatti. But you chose to follow my action because that's where we have been designed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Action speaks. And let us look at the Prophet's life. Huzur Pak sallallahu alaihi wasallam namaz padhe, baad mein padhne bole. रोज़ा रखे, रोज़ा रखने बोले. ज़कात दिया, ज़कात कर. जंग में गए, लड़े, बोले, जिहाद करो. Everything action oriented. और हमारे अमाल भी एक्शन ओरिएंटेड ही रहे तो अल्लाह ताला कबूल करती सो. नमाज की नीयत है, नमाज नहीं पढ़े आगे तो नमाज नहीं पढ़े सच. नमाज को पढ़ना, रोज़े को रखना, ज़कात को देना. That means everything in action. हज को करना. But how far are we going to get into the action mode is a question mark. And today we have a speaker coming up just to focus on these aspects that I showed it to now, the power of your communication. Action speaks louder than words. We have got a wonderful lady here as we are celebrating the Women's Day. This lady is about all this that we did right now. The power of your words, the power of your communication, personal training, grooming. 27 years in industry. Could you beat that? A Muslim lady in the corporate world serving thousands of people across the Fortune 500 companies, starting this business, creating a profession for herself, being a CEO of the company, inspiring so many people in the corporate world to lead a life which is of training, coaching, grooming, being on the Forbes India magazine, working with multinational companies like Bosch, Embassy. Now this is the contribution of this lady in this field. How many people can talk about these kind of ladies in our community? Rare. And I feel so honored when we see people like Ms. Husna Rahman talking about her achievements spread over decades. We have got this lady who's going to come up now, 27 years of serving people with her training and grooming. I would love to be a student, write down what they say because they are saying this with doing what it requires to stand up and deliver the goods. So with a standing ovation, gentlemen, it is an honor and privilege to welcome the next speaker. Bilkul nahi aate uno. Kausar Khan here. Ma'am, honor and privilege to have you here. It's all yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. If you remember, we all started off together. The only handwriting specialist that I have known of, one of the finest in India. And I was especially impressed when you took this up as a therapy. You know, apart from analyzing handwritings and all of that, he's come up with something else, which is a graphotherapy. And one of your students came up to me and said, whom have you been trained? She said, Rafiullah Beg. For the first time that I'm meeting the gentleman in person, but I have been a great admiration of your work. Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for this honor, privilege indeed. You know, on the 28th of February, when I was given yet another award by the Government of India to say Women Who Lead India, we had only 20 women. And believe me, I got to meet some truly fantastic women with excellent work in their own fields, right from aeronautics to the IT to recruitments to pharma to the beauty segments, not in architecture. We were missing you. I met, and I was so super proud that, something of this magnitude had been organized. But also, I had a little itch in my heart because I did not see any Muslim women. But today, when I see that the Muslim men, organizing for the first time in my actually 28 years of experience, I am seeing a Women's Day being celebrated by the Muslim men, and this, gentlemen, I think are advocates of progress. Believe me, when I heard Ms. Husna speak, I could feel the passion. And that's the difference when you have a man speak and a woman speak. Not that, honestly, not that the man speaks less passionately, but she just put it all that she had, just there. And believe me, we as women entrepreneurs and we women in business, it's not been too easy. One, we have cultural tags, we have the glass ceilings, which are not easy to break. They give us wings, they say fly, and they cut off our wings. But here, today, I have not been invited to talk of my journeys and my challenges and how I made it and what I did. But today, I have been called for a different purpose altogether. And I believe that all of us have one commonality, which is all of us are entrepreneurs. Am I right on that? And I think Mr. Amin has spoken so well because he has been in the corporate sector and he's been there, he's done that, and he understands the necessities. Also, when I meet a lot of people, and I train the corporates, we work with, alhamdulillah, 168 accounts. Not clients, accounts, right from the Accenture, Genpact, L&T, ANZ, the biggies and the Fortune 500 companies that we work with. And I have worked personally with Azim Premji, we've worked with Narayan Murthy, I have worked with Tiger, I have worked with Julie Sweets, Julie Sweets is tough. Julie Sweets is tough. So we worked with the biggies of the world, but what I find common, and I don't see too many women, Muslim women, neither do I see too many Muslims at the helm of things. And today I got my answer to that. We are in the sphere of creating jobs, and that's why we are entrepreneurs, right? We are, thank you so much. So we are not here seeking job, we are not job seekers. And wonderful, we have the Skill Cave who said that they are creating opportunities. So we are creating people who can serve, right, who are job seekers. So I am extremely happy that we are most of job givers. And that's a great space to be in. And I think most of you have spoken on how an entrepreneurship should be, how you need to sow the seed. But I have been called for a different purpose here. So probably putting things in place, giving it a structure. So you have some writing material, some neat writing material. So my request to you is, when I'm going to give you certain tips, which probably are not there on the internet, I'm known for that. I don't give too many things which are available on the internet, then why call me? And by the way, I am not a trainer. I'm just a coach by your side. I'm just a guide by your side. So, and how do you build your business? So the first thing, so I think this is going to take some time. So till this is being set up, let me talk of something else again. So there's something which is called mistake metrics. Has anybody heard of it? I'll be surprised if you have. Anything called mistake metrics? Again, developed and designed by me. I do this at the end of each year. One, figure out what are the mistakes that others have done. It's so easy to find. You'll find a long list, right? And certain things which are technical mistakes that have stopped your growth. Third is the mistakes that you have done. And here, honesty is required. And you will figure out that most of the other things can be rectified when you make those corrections yourself. Whether it is handling your team, or whether it is taking a decision, or whether it is giving a presentation, anything. If you believe that has been a mistake, all that you will have to do is a plug and play. You know what's plug and play? Identify the mistake ensure that next time that mistake doesn't happen. Talking of the situation right now, this is something that can happen when I'm coaching. Something goes wrong over here. So what I do is I also get my pen drive. I also get my system, but I also keep things ready over here. You see? So when something goes wrong, that should not stop you from progressing. Like we say in Bosch, run towards your dream. If you can't run, walk. And if you can't walk, crawl. But rather than me standing here and waiting for things to happen, I would rather go on and use my 15 minutes productively. In life, this is exactly how it is. Rather than waiting for things to happen, opportunities will not come knocking at the door. It's not going to happen. You will have to create, which is called as the principle of toes. So that you will have to forge ahead. And for that, you need to understand how to position your business. The first and foremost thing what's required is an entrepreneurial mindset. What's an entrepreneurial mindset? Anyone? Your ability to take up risks. You are embarking on a journey on your own, and you need to have the conviction. The power of conviction, like no matter what, the show will go on, and this too shall not uproot me. In fact, this happened, that's how Protocol as a company has been able to sustain itself. We compete with absolutely the biggies of the world, and our module is more of a boutique module. Right? So we are a boutique firm. We can't have franchise. We can't have all over. We can't do that because that's the business module that you have. So one, you need to understand, which is called the entrepreneur mindset. And when you have that, and you are in small, medium enterprise, there were questions that were thrown out to you, and unfortunately, we didn't get an answer. Which sector do you belong to? Do you belong to the small? Do you belong to the medium? So far, we are not yet into the large sector, right? So why is it that you people were not able to answer? Simply because you didn't know. Am I right? When he was educating on you and said, of course I belong to that. So here, I'm doing exactly that. And one, I'm going to talk of the different processes in which you can grow your business from small to medium, and of course, inshallah, medium to large as well. And there would be some components which probably you are not putting together. Certain pieces that you have missed out, certain pieces of the pie that you have not. And if you have identified that, thank you. And if you have identified that, what do you have to do? What do you have to do? Mistake metrics, plug and play. What's plug and play? I swear I'm harmless. All right, go. Well, if you think I'm intimidating, you must actually meet the alpha women globally. They're something else. All right, so what do you do? What's plug and play? Hiba, I'll come and meet you. What's plug and play? Rectify the mistake and ensure that it doesn't happen again. That's called plug and play. It's no big deal if you even recognize your mistake, but ensure that you don't repeat your mistake, right? So here we're talking of, the topic that's been given to me is capacity building process. So that's the definition, and all of us know what it is. But these are the most important ones, which are the principles. So the first principle is your research and your need analysis. Your need analysis is in your SWOT. Do you know what a SWOT is? Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. One, do it for yourself. Not just your business. Do it for yourself. Understand where you stand, what your weaknesses are, eliminate those weaknesses, strengthen your strengths. One. It's only then can you take control, because mind you, there are going to be a lot of storms. One of the weaknesses that I figured out in myself is that I don't have any employable quality. I'm sorry, I really don't. Yeah, that's exactly why all of you become entrepreneurs. You don't have any employable. I can't have a boss over me, and I can't say, yes, minister to him. I can't have a swipe in and swipe out time. I mean, I can just go on. I work every single day, 365 days, and I work. I work on Saturdays and Sundays as well. I don't take breaks. I don't go on leaves. I don't have holidays. I don't have vacations. And I've been working like this forever, right? And how does that happen, right? Because you've got passion to it. So that's my weakness, and that's why we are entrepreneurs. So understand, one, do your SWOT analysis and do a lot of research. Let's take just to set it right, I'm going to take a very, very simple example, and you will understand what I mean because we're going to start building on that. Supposing you have a person and you want to have some crops, you want to get into agriculture. Do you think that's that easy? The moment you say, I want to have some crops, what are you going to do? Do I have a land myself? Am I going to buy a land? Am I going to lease a land? What kind of crops? Which place do I have to go to? And what of profits? Won't you go and talk to people? Isn't there a process in place? Let's replicate this in the urban area. Can anybody give me one product that, and I will be using that as an example and tell you how to build it? Anyone? It can be something as simple as chai. Chocolate. Who said that? That's nice. Let's take something as chocolate. Now, do your research. Figure out how many of them are into the chocolate industry and what is it that's selling? What is the demand? Who are your target audience? Are you going to have a franchise? Are you going to start on your own? Is it going to be an online? How are you going to market it? Who are your competitors? What is the pricing that you have? What is the baseline? You will have to do your research. Now tell me, how many of you have researched before you started off on, or even embarked on your journey? How many of you even know? Thank you, I expected that. The people who have actually succeeded and are top are the people who research. Even when you are going to meet anybody, make sure that you research your client, you know who you're speaking to. And get a need analysis done. There is a gap, there is a requirement. We spoke of the demand and supply, we were talking of the franchisee model, right? When there is a demand, you will have to give supply, right? So understand, for chocolates again, what are the chocolates that sell? And most importantly, who are your target audience? Whether it's going to be the children, then your approach has to be different. If it is going to be people with sugar-free, that sells. So if that's your target audience, how are you going to do it? Because your presentation is going to be different, your marketing strategy is going to be different. Everything is based on the research that you have done. So my first request to you and my first tip to you is, please research your client. Research the market. Research the market, figure out whether there is a need. That's called the need analysis. I'll take questions at the end of it. Most importantly, you need to start creating a plan. If there is no plan, there is this very famous statement which I'm sure everybody knows, which is, that's a cliche, right? But how many of you have really planned? So when do you create, what are the different kinds of business modules that you can have? Whether you want to have a boutique firm, whether, again, I said you want to make yourself present, what kind of visibility are you going to have? Are you going to have a low-level service? You're going to have a high-interaction service? What kind of brackets do you want to have it? What is going to be your business module? If you don't even know, you need to have mentorship, which we'll also come to. And last, the third one is the funding. Funding gets you sustainability. And sustainability, at least for the next 6 months. And who's going to fund you? When I was at Pune getting the award, we had a person from the minister herself. She came and she spoke intensely about how women, you've got a lot of loans which have been given, the kind of fundings that have been given for the women entrepreneurs. So one, we need to educate our women. In fact, all of you as well. So how are you going to get the funding? Are you able to sustain yourself? Because again, as I mentioned, there is going to be a lot of storms, turbulences, competition. People close down only because they are not able to sustain themselves. One, make sure that from where you're going to get the funding and how you're going to get the funding. So far clear? Last gentleman? All of us? Thank you. Networking and collaboration is one great example here where we need to have more of this. You need to go out and meet people, gain that visibility. A lot is happening on the social media, but I believe that that really doesn't work. Every single client that Protocol has today, and I mean every single client, has been organic, has been a person who has worked with me in the past, who would recommend me somewhere. Bhaskar Ghosh, I mean, anybody knows Bhaskar Ghosh? You must be. He was the ex-CEO of Accenture, who was one of my participants when I was working with Bosch. And when he went to Accenture, there were a lot of things. So when he went there and he wanted to have executive presence, he said, "Where's Mrs. Khan? Why is she not here? Call her." And that's how I got Accenture, and I got that 21 years ago. And when I was working with another gentleman, I'm not going to name them, when he was working in Bosch, and when he left and when he went, he became the MD of Mercedes-Benz. That is the time that he said, "Where is Mrs. Khan? How come Protocol is not here?" And that's how we got, and that's how we got Mercedes-Benz. Believe me, all the 168 accounts that we have today has been organic, right? So I don't know how the social media works. We don't have a marketing team, and I don't intend to have any, because I think this is what you need to speak. So collaborate with people, meet with people. You know, we have excellent synergy over here. I see a lot of people who've made it, done that. So cooperate with them. So go out, meet them, people who want to lay the seed. So network well, right? We see a lot of, a BNI and all of them. We see how people help each other. Unfortunately, in our community, we don't have such kind of people who will back you, who will support you. I have been conducting these, I have been called worldwide. I go to Germany, I go to UK, I go to Australia for my sessions, but I see our community that doesn't ask. And I'm here to help, right? Why do you think I'm here, right? It's not about money, it's not about that, it's about standard, it's about quality. When we deliver, I want an audience where I can add value and they will implement. Right? So networking and collaborating, training and mentoring. There was one word that I heard pretty often, and I was very happy hearing that. And that was innovation. When Husna spoke about it, she was talking of innovation. And I think when we had a couple of others who spoke, they spoke of new methodologies, innovation, and that's why even in corporates, a lot of innovation and creativity is being given a lot of importance to. Why? Why innovation? Well, why not? We have to progress, right? Believe me, one company that failed because they were not innovative. Have you heard of that? One is Nokia, the other one is? One more? Nirma. They failed miserably only because they were not innovative, they were not progressive. And even when you are, again, I was extremely happy when Mr. Rafiullah Beg can't see him. There. I thought that was innovative, The graphotherapy was a little more than what you were doing, right? And so I thought that was innovative. So innovation is the key, ladies and gentlemen. Believe me, even I don't train. I've never trained, actually. The kind of methodologies that we have today, I get theater into my coaching. None so far in India have done it, right? So get innovative in anything you're doing. People want new. They are looking for something new, right? Then we go to mentoring. There's a difference between coaches and mentors. Mentors, all of you can be mentors, can also be coaches. Do you know the difference between mentors and coaches? Mentors are those who've been there, done that. Coaches, not necessarily. If you see in football, Vicky, football. Here's my brother. So when we have coaches, not necessarily they should be excellent in football, but they can be excellent coaches, right? So coaches are different, mentors are different. So for entrepreneurs, you don't need coaches, you need mentors. Mentors who walk that mile. They know, they can predict. Right? So get your mentorship. You have some fantastic people, and it will be for your advantage to get their mentorship. feedback and evaluation. When you're having, when you're having chocolates, when you are giving chocolates, and even somebody said you are going to give some freebies to every single one, have you also got a feedback mechanism? Can you raise your hand, those of you who are giving freebies? Just raise your hands. Say that? All right. Okay. Yeah, raise your hands for those of you who are giving away the free gifts to every member who's come. Have you also got a free? Good. Thank you. I've not yet got it, but thank you in advance. So, but then, have you also got a feedback mechanism? Get that in place. So every person that you are giving this to, take their phone number, take their email IDs, and ask them for a feedback of how they found it. If possible, send them a form. You will be able to evaluate. For chocolates as well as Husna's mother, I'm sorry I didn't get your name. Nikhat, as Nikhat said, chocolates, for example, when you give your chocolates to somebody, ask them. In fact, somebody from another organization, which I'm not going to name, they came up to me and said, we are giving chocolates, and these are the hampers, and all of them. They never bothered to follow back. They never took a feedback, and I had so many things to say. So feedback is a very important mechanism. Even for this session that we're having today, I think the committee members already know that they will take a feedback and figure out what went wrong, what went right, how they can better it. So for your organizations, a feedback method is something that I would highly recommend. Last but not the least, sustainability. Sustainability comes only with passion and commitment. If people have succeeded in what they have done, whether they are individual contributors, whether it's been a doctor, whether it's been an engineer, whether it's been in any area, if you don't have the passion, if you don't have the consistency, I'm afraid you will not be able to get what you. And I think Husna used that example as well. She says, just 3 feet away. Right? You will just be there, you'll just be there, and you'll just figure out that you just lost it. So the thin line between the winners and the losers is a very thin line. And I'm sure all of us are going to be winners. Inshallah? And I hope what I have just shared with you has been valuable, has added value. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Wonderful talking to all of you.
I think the applause was not matching to the presentation. Ma'am, we would not like to let you go off until you receive this award from us today. Ladies and gentlemen,